these assassins. But of course, they want to get this Riven. They want to get this 4-1 split push happening. So now with the Senna getting locked in, we may see a Nasus or maybe even a Singed in this composition.
Yeah, so no Lulu Olaf for today. It's gonna be Senna and Olaf for MIRMOOOO Esports' side, locking onto Riven as well. But once again, you leave the Lovers duo available for LAKAN Esports. The Xayah and the Rakan is a dominant duo in the past. And if MIRMOOOO Esports does not control this bottom lane, it might be LAKAN Esports just outscaling in that mid-game, late-game fights. But as you stated a while ago, MIRMOOOO Esports talking into Galio to follow through with the Nasus.
Exactly. This most likely is going to be Emperor on this Galio. Meanwhile, we get to see the Nasus in the duo lane to join the Senna. LAKAN, are they going through this Aurelion Sol last pick for Dedenne? And it is going to fit the comp. It is, again, we talked about this before. Dedenne, usually always for these setups, always for be able to set up for Chinese here on his assassin junglers. Make that the Aurelion Sol. Imagine all of these team fights, rather, when we look at the first dragon of the game, at the first Rift Herald of the game. And of course, Ison and Rakan, Ison and Arjuk, rather, on the Lovers duo. I can't imagine how the level 2, the level 3s are going to be, but we talked about this before. The Senna and the Nasus, they neutralize the 2v2. We'll see if there are going to be more dives coming in, because we see Aurelion Sol is going to come flying over to the duo lane and get that dive on board.
Well, we'll find out, Riku, today on how this Nasus Senna is going to play out in the Philippine region up against the Lovers duo for LAKAN Esports. Assassins and Senna is something that we've talked about a while ago, but here we go. We're jumping into the Rift. MIRMOOOO Esports versus LAKAN, game 1.
And right now, when we look at the mid lane, it is Dedenne and Emperor on that utility duty. And of course, Paris entrance, much faster, but the utility is that shield. In the meantime, though, bottom lane.
Yeah, they're just trading on damage. We know Arjuk is a very, very aggressive onto the Rakan, and with Ison playing as well as a Xayah, it's a very, very strong duo. So they're really just hovering around. But here into the mid lane is a different story. Aurelion Sol going to force out the flash. Crash is going to be there, as Yaohan's not going to be able to secure the kill. But having this pressure down puts Dedenne in a bad position up against Galio.
Yeah, no safety summoner spells off the board, and this is going to be possibly a very, very vulnerable Aurelion Sol here. Therefore, if you don't get priority, if you aren't able to get control of your lane, it's going to be difficult to find these opportunities to get that side lane impact as that pick. And it could be Emperor going to be flying freely to the side lanes, possibly towards Yaohan, possibly towards the bottom lane, but most likely they want to get Yaohan ahead. They want to punish this Tante on this Akali and make sure that he's not going to shine on this pick. Remember, Tante on a Twilight, underneath the Shroud, meaning that's going to be easy stun for Yaohan, easy taunt as well, with that big AoE to catch Tante off guard.
And this is just the strength of Yaohan, but you're looking at LAKAN Esports going for 3-man roam. Yaohan doesn't have any information now. He's going to be jumped on by Kha'Zix, and Yaohan trying to go back away. Aurelion Sol going in, and Kha'Zix with a first blood. Chinese taking it home. LAKAN with a first kill.
Really nicely done by LAKAN there. They, despite, Dedenne not being able to get priority in the lane, it's fine, as I believe the resets was just coming in. Emperor had half HP in that entire sequence, so most likely LAKAN was able to get control of this lane and take it back for themselves. And now Infernal Drake is going to be the first dragon of the game, so most likely the teams want to set this up, as now Dedenne is so low.
Yeah, it's a mid lane. Just trades all happening for Emperor and Aurelion Sol from Dedenne, but do take note, you have Dedenne having the assist onto the top lane a while ago, so having more gold means that Dedenne has a bit more advantage against Galio in this early game, having 200 more gold up against Emperor. Looking to the bottom side, another team fight potentially may occur, but they're just seeing each other down. They don't want to go all in. 3 minutes into the game, it's so much on value in this state of the game.
A dive could happen as a setup here. Remember, no heal coming from MIRMOOOO anymore, but Wura still has exhaust, still has flash, so they can immediately pop that all in to make sure that Chinese doesn't get further kills. We know that this man, this player, is able to snowball the game out of control. And look at them now, LAKAN looking for that opportunity once more.
Yeah, and Arjun is just here, goes for the grand entrance, goes for the knockup onto Senna. The root will be onto minions, will not get the CC down onto Arjun. Olaf will come into the fray though.
Oh.
Axe will not connect onto Chinese one with like centimeters away from canceling that recall, but in the end, there's no kills proceeding into both these teams.
And no picks so far except that one at top side with the tower dive. And looking at the movements coming from Chinese, it's looking to be, after getting that red buff, they will possibly be able to cycle through towards the Infernal Drake. Infernal Drake is very, very strong as a first dragon, so for sure they do not want to let this go. Looking at the lane state right now, LAKAN is able to get both priority in the bottom lane and as well as the mid lane. Chinese now lurking around the corner here. It's going to get spotted by a ward. So we'll have to see, as the map is a little bit dark for the side of MIRMOOOO. No, actually at the Dragon Pit. Let's see. We'll be able to get that first pick.
Yeah, they don't have any information, although you have MIRMOOOO having a lot of wards coming down. So now that gives information that LAKAN Esports is now starting onto the Dragon, as they are really going all in. 2k HP right now for the Infernal Dragon. XDXP is going to be here as well. Heroes Edros go for the knockup, but no one will be.
Oh,
down. MIRMOOOO Esports has stolen the Infernal Dragon, and LAKAN Esports now to go for the counter engage. 1-0. LAKAN is now going to have the numbers advantage, but they're now going to be pinned down. The flash is now going to be burned down. LAKAN is going over the hill, goes for the kill. That will be the 2-for-1. XDXP, 1 HP. He will fall, as that will be the 3-for-3 even trades, but MIRMOOOO getting the Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, they get the Infernal Drake and get 2 kills to XCXP. I think that's a pretty sweet deal on that fight. LAKAN tried their best to secure that, but lost the Smite War. And at the end of the day, for LAKAN, after that fight, aside from Yaohan being a scary threat as an XDXP may potentially snowball out of control as well. And it could be very difficult for Chinese to handle. But look at them. They're trying to set up this pickoff.
Grand entrance goes for the 2-man knockup. Wura tries to go for the disengage as well. The Black Mist will save Wura's life and MIRMOOOO as well. So they're safe back into their very own territory as they hover in topside, while LAKAN is going for the Rift Herald.
Right now, fight.
Wura goes for the 1v1. Excel's now going to be burned. Akali tries to go in. 5-point strike. Going to put him away. And LAKAN Esports now has gone in for it. But MIRMOOOO once again has stolen the Rift Herald away from LAKAN Esports. What a steal. And MIRMOOOO is doing miracle plays.
Whoa, that's the second time around they are able to get the Rift Herald. And it's so hard because it's so easy for XDXP. Press Ragnarok, go inside.
Yeah, though, grand entrance, follow through with Feather Storm, goes for the root down. Olaf will fall. That's going to be an extra kill for LAKAN Esports. They want to go for that trade, but the root will now going to be falling down. Ultimate's now going to be casted down. 1v1, MIRMOOOO versus Tante. He will fall. Akali, that will be the 1-for-1 as XDXP will fall. You have Tante and Ison to be traded down for MIRMOOOO Esports.
Oh, that is not a great story for LAKAN for sure. Being able to let go of that bounty from Tante, get that shutdown gold on towards MIRMOOOO. In the meantime, though, First Blood Tower will still go over to LAKAN Esports as MIRMOOOO still gonna have to wait a little bit for the second wave for them to secure and open up the top lane evenly. Look at this, though. Yaohan lurking around the corner. I don't think he's gonna push for anything more because MIRMOOOO bot lane decides to back away and go reset as well. For LAKAN, I think, Tante can be insanely huge in the early game as Tante is able to get early kills, and that can potentially be a big problem for MIRMOOOO. Don't forget about Ison as well. We're talking about 3 items for Ison to be incredibly scary. So MIRMOOOO definitely has to watch out for that. But on the other side of the spectrum, they have unlimited stacking. They've got Wura here on the Nasus. They've got Senna as well. So their late game will be secured by these 2 champions.
And I'm glad that you mentioned about the late game because they have the Infernal Dragon. They had the Rift Herald a while ago, and now LAKAN Esports needs to think what they did to do to be able to counter this town. Now, Dedenne going for the stun, goes for the 3-man CC, and they gotta do it. They gotta follow up. LAKAN Esports now going in together alongside with it, but Yaohan's ultimate is gonna bring Chinese down. That will be the 1-for-0 trade-off with an extra kill, with an extra objective for MIRMOOOO Esports taking their first turret in the game.
A really nicely done fight as we got to see Yao Han able to slash through Chinese there with his ult. And LAKAN isn't able to get any kills except for Emperor in the mid lane though. The Dene is gonna be a little bit extended, but it's fine. He just wants to set up for the next dragon, which is going to be the Air Drake. It's going to be very important for LAKAN, especially if they want to utilize this roams. Tante, Chinese, and the Dene with this 3-man death squad. MIRMOOOO Esports, of course, they want to deny that as well. They're going to be first dibs over here as they drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane.
And LAKAN Esports needs to contest this, except they want to give every single dragon towards the side of MIRMOOOO Esports. Now LAKAN Esports going for engage, but they are now going to be surprised by Olaf going in through. Senna with the ultimate, saving Yaohan's life, 1 HP. He will not fall, he will still be safe. Yaohan, how are you doing this? Tante tries to go in, but MIRMOOOO Esports once again will secure the Cloud Dragon. Galio will jump back, he's not going to be safe. And now we have Ardra trying to go back away. He doesn't care anymore. He cannot do anything.
Ison.
But Quickness going for the charm against XDXP. Better Storm, go for the root, gets the kill down. LAKAN Esports has traded wisely, and MIRMOOOO will fall with 3 members out. And LAKAN will try to engage.
And then more shutdown bonus. They're going in more. They are not going to get it though with no knock-up. Awura and MIRMOOOO will be able to stay home, rather not stay home, go home safe and sound. And LAKAN, this is a pretty close game so far. MIRMOOOO having the upper hand in Dragon and objective count, but LAKAN has that gold lead, and most of the kills are going to important targets, such as Tante most importantly, and the Dene, the one that is able to get the setup, the one that is going to really hurt as well. And in the meantime, Baron has spawned. We'll see what the call is going to be. As so far, while it's pretty close, LAKAN has been winning here and there.
Yeah, it's a head-to-head matchup. MIRMOOOO Esports taking a lot of objectives down by LAKAN. I'm glad, or I'm not glad, or rather any of these two, but rather it was fortunate for them to be able to get those turrets for those trades. At the very least, get something in return on what MIRMOOOO Esports is doing in this specific game for now. So that is what I am looking at LAKAN Esports on how they're really maneuvering into this matchup against MIRMOOOO Esports, even if they are consistently being stealed away on the Infernal Dragon, on the Rift Herald. On top of all that, you have MIRMOOOO already been able to secure that second Dragon objective as well. Now the question will be, can MIRMOOOO Esports replicate those steals, replicate the Smite War against LAKAN Esports onto the Baron Nashor? Because this is going to be the do or die objective, where if LAKAN Esports gets this, they could finish down the tier 2 turret, potentially get an inhibitor turret. But if MIRMOOOO can do it, they could even out the turret difference up against LAKAN.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that MIRMOOOO is going to look into. You're right. Their mid lane is pretty much open. If they do want more space, they gotta take down that tower. Meanwhile, for LAKAN, constantly, what, 3 times, twice in a row?
Yaohan goes for the stun in. That's gonna be the root, but the flash will now gonna be burned by Dedenne. So that's huge win for MIRMOOOO Esports if they want to engage fully up against LAKAN.
Shadows used there just to spot them out. The engage.
The root will actually delay this down. Ribbon goes for the ultimate as well, gets a kill down. Arjuk will fall. Hero's Entrance will go for the knockup as well. Final execution for Tante to go back away because they can handle it now. The flash in, that's gonna 2-man stun. Dedenne goes for the Stasis Enchant to delay a bit longer, but 600 gold bounty towards the side of MIRMOOOO Esports as 2 will fall against LAKAN. And Ison will just do a little bit of an extra, goes for the root, but still they cannot disengage as MIRMOOOO is just happy with those kills.
Yeah, XDXP is incredibly scary on this Olaf paired with Yaohan. I think these are your 2 main targets that LAKAN would want to eliminate right off the bat. And look at this, triple twin shadows just to make sure that they're able to get and spot out Tante and as well as Chinese. This is maximized as well with 2 assassins on the board that can stealth their way in and out of the fight. Now let's take a look at 16 seconds of the clock. Ocean Drake has spawned. Of course, Omnivamp will be very, very important in these fights, especially LAKAN has been losing a lot of their health in these sustained fights.
Yeah, but block miss though. Maybe just disable the vision for LAKAN Esports. Twin Shadows gets a vision that Kha'Zix is there. Arctic is there as well. Ison, Tante will be locked down. That's going to be Tante as well. This might potentially be a MIRMOOOO Esports spot, but they are now sandwiched down. LAKAN Esports is going for the pincer attack. They're now on the edge. They're on the pitch up against 4 members for LAKAN Esports. As Galio jumps in, they want to go for the taunt, but he's too squishy as LAKAN takes one more. Ocean Drake will still be going to be available. Tante will fall in 1v1 up against Yaohan. And that will be Yaohan going for the stun as well with barrier with a little bit of an extra sustainability. Will be able to go for the trade. And that will be the 3-4-3 with no jungles for MIRMOOOO. LAKAN has it. This might be it. This might be the first dragon.
The 5k gold lead right after that fight. Riven here, Yaohan in particular, has been massive in this series. Being able to set up, just create chaos against Tante. Is able to get that stun on board. 734. Solari Charge Blade upped up. It's going to be very, very difficult for LAKAN to maneuver around. Not only XDXP was able to get early kills as an Olaf, but also Yaohan as well, seeing that he is the one that is able to survive, is the one that was able to get these kills in the recent fights.
They have to. They have to maneuver it as much as possible, even if it's so difficult for them. Because currently, MIRMOOOO Esports is playing this very, very actively. They're going in for some trades as much as possible. Even if LAKAN is able to go for the pincer attack, MIRMOOOO has something in mind to be able to go for the counter engage. And that is what I love to see in games and team fights of Wild Rift. But now they are just going for the knockup with a grand entrance. Taunt to follow through for the Galio going in for the disengage. Arjuk will fall. Chinese to follow through. LAKAN will be left with 3 members alive. The Black Mist will disengage, will remove the vision away from LAKAN Esports, and now MIRMOOOO Esports is confident to go for the Baron buff or even then set it up for later on and bait LAKAN Esports.
Yeah, and whenever LAKAN decides to try and fight, and when MIRMOOOO pulls the trigger to get that go signal in, LAKAN is unable to respond. It's usually Chinese, the one who falls first. And after that, it is just equalizing into an objective. MIRMOOOO now getting everything so far in the map. And while LAKAN having a difficult time finding these opportunities, we've seen Tante now pick up this Rabadons. So most of the time, mostly rather, we'll see a better impact when it comes to the damage output. So we'll see if he can find those opportunities. As again, Chinese has been struggling in this game. So of course, they are going to be heavily relying on Tante and Dedenne, and as well as especially Ison. Now that we'll see how he's going to get that pickup on the 3rd item as MIRMOOOO keeps constantly pressing these fights.
Yeah, just the problem is that Tante, 15 minutes was only able to get the Rabadon set trap, and I think the reason for that is he built up onto the Morello first, which really just removes that potential to outscale very, very early game. And now MIRMOOOO is just so confident. They have the Baron buff, they have 2 dragons in their pockets, they're able to just split push and even disengage because you have the Black Mist coming from Senna. Very, very safe. LAKAN wants to go for the defense though. They're going for the 4-man rope against MIRMOOOO Esports. Well, they're pushing in. The minions are doing so as well. You have Nasus going for the mid lane. And LAKAN needs to split.
Yeah, LAKAN has no choice but to play defense on this one. Baron and powered minions are still on the board. As MIRMOOOO will continue to siege, removing every single inner tower.
The grand entrance will not connect. That's a 4-man route. But MIRMOOOO will not follow through. Very, very risky play if they came through that one. Now with that route alone, LAKAN wasn't able to go for the defense, and MIRMOOOO able to get the tier 2 turret once again.
This is fully maximized on their buff. Just a lot of knockups, but no full committal because again, MIRMOOOO in paper, not a huge lead, but they have the Infernal, they have the Dragons. But just as you mentioned, there are minions slowly creeping in on top side, so MIRMOOOO will look into pushing that instead to get to a little bit more of that space, especially when we're talking about the future Baron coming in, and as well as that Elder Drake, that Mountain Elder Drake.
Yeah, and if LAKAN Esports is able to get the Elder Dragon, if they could, because MIRMOOOO Esports, even if LAKAN goes for the initial setup, they keep on stealing. But if every LAKAN gets this might change things up for LAKAN Esports, because the Elder Dragon gives you a lot of dose damage to alleviate some of the disadvantage that they are currently experiencing. And on top of all that, Mountain Dragon, extra sustainability for this team, which up against MIRMOOOO Esports is just being eviscerated with so much armor down. But you have Tante going for this face check. Very, very
Half HP
disastrous. They can do it. Tante goes into the backside. Yaohan goes for the stun as well. Wara goes in for the ultimate. Tante, 5-point strike with a shuriken flip, will not be able to go for engage. As now, you have the GA gonna be popped. You have a very safe play. Tante going for the stasis enchant. Buys a little bit more time. But LAKAN is very, very low to still continue that fight. And MIRMOOOO Esports has the advantage once again.
And Yaohan was able to survive through all of that despite being focused upon by 3 members coming from LAKAN. It just paints a picture on how far ahead MIRMOOOO is right now. Teleport coming in.
LAKAN Esports wants to counter this, but you have MIRMOOOO Esports getting the Elder Dragon. LAKAN Esports, though, is now going for 3v1 up against XDXP, but you can't handle it with the Ragnarok. And now Tante is gonna fall. Chinese is gonna fall. And now Ison wants to go for more. This might be LAKAN Esports going in for the pin down, get down. And that will be the 4K up against MIRMOOOO Esports. LAKAN is going down. As Baron's still gonna be alive, will they take it?
Yeah, this could be the return, the start of the comeback, rather, for LAKAN. I mean, looking at the scoreboard, MIRMOOOO still has a lot of that buffs on their side. They've got the damage, they've got the roams, they've got that shields. But LAKAN, they are fighting, they're continuing with the siege, and their pillar is Ison here now that he's online as the Saya.
They're fully committing into the mid lane, and Aurelion Sol goes and tries to go for the stun, but the flash will actually save MIRMOOOO Esports' life. Actually gets the trade down. Detonate will fall. 500 HP for the inhibitor turret, though. Will they take it? Will be able to do so. MIRMOOOO Esports goes for the hero's entrance, but you have MIRMOOOO just having so much damage. LAKAN will fall. Detonate will fall. Arjuk will fall. LAKAN needs to scour back away.
Yeah, that is... I'm not sure if that was part of the plan, because 30 seconds while Baron is up without your support, without your engage as well as this could be very, very tricky. LAKAN has to clear the waves, has to defend their base.
Might be the end gaming push here for MIRMOOOO Esports. Twin Shadows slowing down LAKAN Esports to go for the defense, and MIRMOOOO will be able to take the trade down for the inhibitor turret. And since you're considering XDXP is alive, everyone's alive for MIRMOOOO Esports, they can now go for the Baron buff, and LAKAN needs to react, because if they lose the Baron buff, it's over for LAKAN.
Yeah, it's definitely over. Look at Chinese on the side here. He's gonna get spotted.
Goes for the taunt, and he has no more choice but to dive down, and MIRMOOOO will be able to secure the Baron Nashor, and LAKAN will fall. They will bow down. It's a 4v5 currently. 50 seconds on the clock for Chinese to go back up, and it's gonna be a difficult situation for them, especially with the 2K gold lead for MIRMOOOO and 3 dragons available for this team.
Yeah, this is just a lot of massive buffs. Look at LAKAN though. They're setting up this death brush.
They're going in. They're going for the flank. Grand Entrance will not connect. And why would you go for XDXP considering that he has the ultimate up? So this is going to be a difficult situation for LAKAN Esports if ever they have that opportunity and probability to even make a comeback win.
Yeah, it's really hard. Look at the base. It's so open right now. MIRMOOOO is going to use this Baron buff to keep opening the base of LAKAN and march through the Nexus.
Another inhibitor will fall. Tante will back away. Grand Entrance will actually get onto MIRMOOOO with a follow-up stun onto Detonate. No follow-through with the damage output. LAKAN is missing this. MIRMOOOO is just pushing. They don't care. They have the Baron buff. They have the minion control. And LAKAN Esports, look at the damage. Chinese, 1 HP with just that hit coming in from MIRMOOOO. And now the ultimates might potentially end this. Detonate will fall. Arjuk will fall. Hero's Entrance to go in for the zone. And MIRMOOOO will take the first game.